Net worths of some of the most popular musicians of the 60s and 70s.
But before we start, please take a moment to give this video a like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you'll never miss these great stories.
The 1960s and 70s were great decades for music. Between the Rolling Stones' rock and roll, Elton John's glam pop sound, and the heavy metal of Black Sabbath, concert venues needed a higher capacity. But after all of the fame, how did the musicians fare with their fortunes? From Steven Tyler's $150 million to Blondie's Debbie Harry accruing a solid $30 million, here are the net worths of some of the biggest musicians from the 60s and 70s. Bob Dylan, $350 million. While Bob Dylan has been creating music and selling out arenas for over 60 years, some of his most famous and celebrated work came out of the 60s. During the decade, his songs became anthems for the anti-war movements, particularly "The Times They Are A-Chungin" and "Blowin' in the Wind." Throughout his storied career, Dylan has been awarded many honors, including a Presidential Medal of Freedom, 10 Grammy Awards, a Nobel Prize in Literature, an Academy Award, and he was even inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's no wonder Dylan's net worth is $350 million. Mick Jagger, $360 million. Considered one of the most popular and influential frontmen in the history of rock and roll, Sir Mick Jagger changed the way people perceived the genre. The frontman for the Rolling Stones, Jagger's unique voice and eccentric dance styles are the reason other musicians sing about having moves like Jagger. Decades later, and his mesmerizing performances are still selling out stadiums. Honestly, it's no wonder that he was inducted into both the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the UK Music Hall of Fame. As of 2021, Jagger has a solid net worth of $360 million. Diana Ross, $250 million. Diana Ross rose to prominence in the 60s as the lead singer of the musical group The Supremes. Eventually, they became the most successful girl group of the decade. With her powerhouse vocals, Ross also found fame when she journeyed into a solo career in the 70s. With hits like "Ain't No Mountain High Enough" and "Touch Me in the Morning," fans continued to listen to Ross even as the 70s passed on by. She's still making music as of 2020. Because of that, her net worth is estimated to be $250 million. Elton John, $500 million. Elton John's rise to fame started in 1967 when he began collaborating with Bernie Taupin, the man who would become the legend's longtime lyricist. One of the best-selling musical artists of all time, John is responsible for some of the greatest music in the history of glam pop, including the entirety of his debut album Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. He's also responsible for composing the original Lion King soundtrack. John was honored with an Academy Award for Best Original Song for "Can You Feel the Love Tonight?" Even in 2021, fans are pining for tickets to his farewell concert. It's no wonder his net worth is $500 million. Paul McCartney, $1.2 billion. The Beatlemania of the 60s led singer Sir Paul McCartney to international stardom. His songs written with John Lennon became the anthems of a generation, selling out concert venues and making it so fans would do anything to get a glimpse of him and his fellow Beatles. Eventually, McCartney left the group to pursue a solo venture, creating the band Paul McCartney and Wings. He became one of the most popular musicians of the 70s. As of 2021, McCartney is the richest rock star of all time, with a net worth of $1.2 billion. Steven Tyler, $150 million. Steven Tyler made himself known in the 70s when he jumped on stage and wowed the world as the lead singer of Aerosmith. His intense vocals, bright outfits, and energetic performances had people flocking to each of their shows. Soon, the Bad Boys from Boston became one of the best-selling American hard rock bands of all time. Tyler is still touring with Aerosmith but has also gone on some solo ventures through the years, including being a judge on the singing competition American Idol. As of 2021, his net worth is around $150 million. Stevie Nicks, $75 million. When Stevie Nicks joined Fleetwood Mac in 1975, people were floored by her mystical stage presence. With tambourine in hand and a shawl to dance around with, Nicks' poetic lyrics and raspy voice made her the sound of a generation. Then, in 1977, Rumors came into play. Often cited as one of the greater albums of all time, Rumors earned Nicks and the rest of Fleetwood a Grammy for Album of the Year, not to mention it was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. As of 2021, the legendary Stevie Nicks has a net worth of $75 million. Ozzy Osbourne, $220 million. The Prince of Darkness, Ozzy Osbourne was a figurehead for the heavy metal scene during the 70s. As the lead singer of Black Sabbath, Osbourne was known for his unique sound and quirky on-stage presence. Even after he left the band, Osbourne's solo career turned out to be just as successful. Aside from being the "godfather of metal," Osbourne is also a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, a UK Music Hall of Famer, and a reality star for the Osbournes. Between his music and television success, Osbourne's net worth is around $220 million. Art Garfunkel, $95 million. Art Garfunkel was part of one of the best-selling musical groups of the 60s, Simon and Garfunkel. Along with his partner Paul Simon, Garfunkel sang some of the most popular songs of the decade, including "Sound of Silence," "Bridge Over Troubled Water," and "Mrs. Robinson." The latter went on to be the theme song for the Academy Award-winning film The Graduate. After his time with Simon, Garfunkel ventured into solo territory, where he found major success. Of course, it was nothing compared to his time in Simon and Garfunkel, where he won 10 Grammy Awards. As of 2021, his net worth is $95 million. Keith Richards, $500 million. Keith Richards is the guitarist and one of the co-founders of the Rolling Stones, one of the greatest rock and roll bands of all time. Considered one of the most epic guitarists in the history of rock and roll, when Richards is on stage with Mick Jagger, fans can't look away. There is a reason the band is still selling out arenas, even decades after their original founding. Between his time with the Rolling Stones and even some acting gigs, such as Captain Teague in Pirates of the Caribbean, Richards has accrued a nice net worth of $500 million. Debbie Harry, $30 million. In the mid-70s, Debbie Harry co-founded Blondie, a pioneer band in the American punk scene during the time. As the lead singer with her two-toned bleach blonde hair, daring punk rock clothing, and unique beauty, Harry soon became an icon in the underground music scene. After hit singles and mainstream success, Blondie eventually disbanded, and Harry went on a solo venture where she found even more fame. The band got back together in the 90s and is still making new music and touring into the 2020s. Currently, Harry's net worth is estimated at around $30 million. Barry Gibb, $90 million. Barry Gibb has had monumental success as a musician with a career spanning over 60 years. A co-founder of the Bee Gees, Gibb is known for his wide vocal range, particularly his high-pitched falsetto. Even though they formed in the 60s, the group didn't find worldwide fame until 1975. As one of the kings of disco, Gibb has been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the Songwriters Hall of Fame. While he didn't get Hall of Fame recognition as a solo artist, he is still touring as of the 2020s. He currently has a net worth of $90 million. David Gilmour, $180 million. After the departure of Syd Barrett, David Gilmour became the lead guitarist of the iconic psychedelic 60s and 70s rock band, Pink Floyd. Gilmour's talent is showcased on famous albums such as Dark Side of the Moon, Animals, and even The Wall. It didn't take long for the group to become one of the highest-selling acts in music history. Gilmour was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1996, and Rolling Stone has him ranked as one of the greatest guitarists of all time. As of 2021, his net worth is $180 million. Don Henley, $250 million. From 1971 to 1980, Don Henley was the co-lead vocalist and drummer for the iconic rock band The Eagles. His soulful voice took lead on hits such as Witchy Woman, One of These Nights, and Life in the Fast Land. During this time, the group won 6 Grammy Awards. Even during his solo career, Henley was nominated for a Grammy. According to Rolling Stone magazine, he's one of the top 100 greatest singers of all time. Thankfully, for fans, he continues to tour with the Eagles whenever they have a reunion. As of 2021, his net worth is $250 million. Billy Gibbons, $60 million. The Reverend Billy F. Gibbons is one of the 2 beard-wearing members of the rock band ZZ Top. Known as the primary vocalist and guitarist of the group, Gibbons has been named by Rolling Stone magazine as one of the greatest guitarists of all time. Aside from his music career, Gibbons has also dabbled in acting. Most notably, he's portrayed Angela's father for 7 episodes on the hit series Bones. He's also done voice work for Metalocalypse. With all of his different ventures, Gibbons has a net worth of around $60 million. Michael Leaday, $40 million. In 1977, Michael Leaday, aka Meatloaf, released his first album, Bad Out of Hell. The debut album is one of the best-selling albums in history. Meatloaf's on-stage theatricality and wide-ranging vocals made him a must-see act in the 70s. And his popularity didn't exactly waver from that decade. Meat Loaf has shown up through the years in various films and television shows, including Spice World, Eddie in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and Fight Club. In a 2020 interview with The Mirror, Ade said, "I'm not old. I've got songs for another record, and I'm reading a script." His net worth is $40 million. Brian Wilson, $100 million. In 1961, Brian Wilson changed the way people listened to California pop. That year, he founded the Beach Boys. Often considered one of the brightest songwriters of the 20th century, Wilson is responsible for the hits Good Vibrations, I Get Around, and even Surf City. According to a 2016 interview with Rolling Stone, Wilson has no intention of slowing down. He said, "Retirement? Oh, man, no retiring. I'd rather get on the road and do concerts and take airplane flights." As of 2020, he's still touring. Currently, Wilson's net worth is $100 million. John Fogerty, $90 million. John Fogerty co-founded Creedence Clearwater Revival in 1959, playing under multiple names before settling on CCR in 1967. Even so, Fogerty's position in the band never wavered from songwriter, lead vocalist, and lead guitarist. The bluesy southern rock group had 8 gold albums and was lucky enough to appear at Woodstock during the summer of 1969. Some of Fogerty's more popular songs include Proud Mary, Who'll Stop the Rain, and Down on the Corner. He also has a very successful solo career, something he still does in 2021. Currently, his net worth is $90 million. Gene Simmons, $400 million. Gene Simmons, aka The Demon, is the bassist and co-lead singer of the rock band Kiss. He formed the band back in 1973 with Paul Stanley, and the group hasn't wavered from the stage since, still donning the iconic makeup, lighting their guitars on fire, and levitating their drum kits, all while jamming out to sold-out crowds. Loudwire ranked Kiss as the 3rd best metal and hard rock live band of all time, while calling them one of the most influential bands. As of 2021, Simmons's net worth is $400 million. Ritchie Blackmore, $16 million. In 1968, Ritchie Blackmore co-founded the rock group Deep Purple. As the lead guitarist, Blackmore soon became known for his classically influenced solos. And Deep Purple wasn't his only claim to fame. During his career, Blackmore went solo, formed the heavy metal band Rainbow, and even dabbled in folk music with the band Blackmore's Night. While he no longer tours with Deep Purple, Blackmore played a show with Rainbow, with material from both of the groups. As of 2021, Blackmore's net worth is $16 million.